as you are involved in Dawah with non-Muslims and you have been going across the globe in preaching Islam to non-Muslims, in this situation where by and large street Dawah and contacting the non-Muslims or people in general is not allowed, and we cannot actually go and speak to any non-Muslim, we cannot engage in street Dawah, we cannot do any of those conferences or lectures or events. In this situation, what should a Muslim do, and how should they engage with non-Muslims, keeping the restriction given by the government?
Jazakallah khair, brother, for the question. I think it's a very important aspect to look into right now, because with the current restrictions, which are a bit too many these days, different parts of the world, it's already gone into lockdown. For example, United Kingdom, United States, many of the Middle Eastern countries, including Asian countries, have gone into what we call absolute lockdown. Curfews have been imposed. And then countries like ours, like Australia, is still in a very restrictive mode. So we have got almost into the stage 3 of restrictions now. But even we might enter into a lockdown anytime soon. So what we see is an entirely different scenario today in dealing with Dawah. Now, does Dawah remain or does Dawah stop with all these restrictions? Is an important aspect that we need to look into. What we see is suddenly when the things change, people give up options. And this is what we need to be very, very careful as Muslims, as believers, as active people. We have been involved in giving Dawah to the non-Muslims, and various options that we had, various modes of Dawah that we were doing is street Dawah, face-to-face. We were doing lectures, programs, conferences. I was traveling across different parts of the world in order to deliver lectures and train people. All of this has suddenly now in a restriction mode. We can't even fly anymore, even from one city to another city. We are all in a lockdown right now. So the mode needs to change. But does the Dawah remain to continue or does the Dawah stop? My strong response to that would be that Dawah not just continues, rather intensifies in such scenarios. Because what happens here is we need to look at the asbab, why the plague is happening, why the punishments are happening, why these lockdowns are happening across the globe. When we look at that from a spiritual perspective, we have a theological response to that. And one of those is that Dawah needs to be done prior to this, as well while it is happening, and even when the things get back to normalcy. So we need to continue to do Dawah. Now the question that you have raised is, how do we do Dawah in this scenario? I'll give you one quick example. Very recently, after the lockdown started, I had a conversation with one of our lawyers on a particular matter we were dealing with. And towards the end of the discussion, I raised this aspect of asking him what is his opinion or his feelings with the current restrictions that we have here in Australia. And he said that, see, I'm at my office, and when I look outside, I can see the cafes are shut down. There's not many people walking on the streets as usual in the CBD, in the Central Business District. And he said that it is terrible. Everyone is afraid, there is scaremongering, there is worrying that people are having across. So he mentioned all of this, and I sort of stopped him there, and I said, well, that's very true. I added there and I said, well, see, there is someone up there who is above and beyond us, the doctors and the politicians. Because this is a time where we are all realizing that we are so weak in front of the divine. So he added the point, he said, yes, the nature has its own course. Now this is something we have to be very aware of being in the field of Dawah. People use nature as their reference point, as if nature is God. But the moment they say nature, they are defying God. So what we need to do is we need to turn that discussion without much argument. I'm on a phone call. It's not going to last for another minute or so. So I have very little time to really make some progress. So I said, see, people claim nature, but the divine seems to be in power. So the one up there, the only true God. So this, what my point here is, in a very small conversation, you have the opportunity, because of this plague, because of this virus, because of this pandemic, there is lockdown across the globe. With this point itself, you need to raise the bar of Dawah itself. So you need to start the conversation, you need to strike the discussion about the God, the Almighty, the Divine. So this is one aspect. Now, how do you do Dawah? What are the strategies? Strategy number one, you need to start doing Dawah online. There are conversations happening anywhere and everywhere, whether it's Facebook, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's your SMS, whether it's on email. People are talking anything and everything about the virus. People are talking about coronavirus such as being, you know, a government created thing or a biological weapon that is being used. People are talking about various conspiracy theories. People are talking about movies such as Contagion and the other movies which were released 10 years ago, that this has all been premeditated. People are saying the word coronavirus was already coined 15 years ago. So all of this, so people are talking a lot about this. All I'm saying is, instead of going into the conspiracy theories and the political aspect of it, not denying any of that, neither confirming it, but at the same time, this is the opportunity that you can throw in, that if somebody is saying, a book says that coronavirus was going to happen, well, there is another book such as the Quran which is talking about a lot more happening in our lives. We are all going to die one day. We have got a day of judgment that is going to come. We are going to be having a day of resurrection that is going to be happening. So with all of this there, I'm saying we have got a lot more to offer than just the conspiracy theories. So the online, the social media is an opportunity in disguise to use them for the benefit and to give dawah to the people. Anyone you're talking about, immediately throw out the discussion of Islam, throw out the discussion of the divine, the one true God, and communicate with them and give dawah to them.